StormWatch number 19, written by Jim Starlin, art by Yves Guichet. Okay, so last issue doesn't even matter because this issue opens up with a bunch of crazy looking aliens staring at the Earth saying, well, this is a problem. Let's reset the timeline. And then they just do. They pick the magenta timeline and they just reset it. And we see the beginning of time, Adam 1 shows up and he's like, oh, hey, this is familiar. Wait a minute, this isn't right. Something's different. And then he's killed by one of these aliens. And then we see everything kind of just shudder for like 3 panels. And Midnighter and Apollo just disappear. And the wreck of the Eye of the Storm out in space is also gone. And seemingly the moon is also fixed or something because it focuses on the moon, but like nothing happens with it. And then they say, all right, now next to a black hole, something comes out of it. Got all that? Now it's just rebuilding the team again. So there is a new Skywatch, and one of the Shadow Lords from before, now being called Storm King, he's like, hey, guy named Storm Control, who's a new character, who is now their like leader of the team, who just wears a mask. He's like, hey, we detected that StormWatch was erased from this timeline. We exist outside of time, so it didn't affect us. And Storm Control's like, that's weird. Anyway, what does that have to do with me? And they're like, oh, well, you're going to be the leader of the new StormWatch, so go ahead and throw a team together. And Storm Control's like, can do. And his identity is purposely kept secret for some reason. I don't know. Regardless, they're saying how they need to get hyper-powered individuals from the planet as best as they can. So we cut down to South Africa, where a woman is walking through, trying to find a dangerous dope addict named Jamar. And we see, I'm just going to skip the little mystery here, is Angie, engineer. She looks like a human though, but she is able to transform into her engineer form and starts attacking this guy with weaponry because he's being assaulted by 2 larger supers, I guess. I think named D and Dumb. I don't think they're Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They're just named D and Dumb. Regardless, Apollo is also introduced. Apparently he was abducted by aliens when he was a kid and now has his powers. Midnighter, same deal, abducted by aliens, but he got out 5 years before Apollo. They are now just in a relationship, like it's not even a question, they just are. So then we get introduced to a new guy named Hellstrike, who's able to use energy abilities, and a different guy named Weird, who is a being from another dimension, which took over a dead guy's body and is now able to transform it and control its density and whatnot. So he's also on the team. Meanwhile, this whole time, Engineer's basically just trying to take down these guys, and she's doing fine on her own. Like, it's a standard-ass fight scene that's occasionally interrupted by her saying, ah, yes, Storm Control, what do you need? Just know that's happening. Then we meet someone from a London asylum named Jenny Soul, who is a powerful telepath with some telekinesis, which is so weird that it's not Jenny Quantum. We just got a totally different Jenny. Just different timeline, different Jenny. Just roll with it. And so that's pretty much all the team as far as I think. The only other guy left is that they have a guy, an alien called a Vulgarian, who is named the Forecaster. And he's the triplets from Minority Report that are able to see stuff and get people distributed where they need to be. It's an early warning system. And he's like, oh, there's psychic emissions coming from a planet called Dooley 7. Should deal with that. And so the Shadow Lord's like, right on. All right, call the team together and let's get it started. So Engineer gets this guy named Jamar out of there and to the satellite where he's going to be treated for his opium addiction. And I guess they'll use him for something. It's hard to say. Regardless, we see Apollo and Midnighter, and they're like, hey, we got to go. There's a mission, and they get all lovey-dovey on each other. And everyone's brought together to the main table where the Shadow Control is like, all right, We got our first mission as a team. We know you've kept it out of the limelight, and that's going to continue that way because this first one is out on Dually 7, where there's some psychic problem. And he lays out how all the teams are going to lay out. Jenny Soul is going to investigate the psychic stuff. Hellstrike is going to be in charge of the away team, and Apollo and Midnighter and I think Engineer are all going to be in there. And they say, all right, you guys don't mention Earth. Don't say anything about it. You're just going to head down to the planet and consider everyone down there a potential enemy. We don't know what we're up against. And as we zoom in on the planet, we see in one of the alleyways of one of their cities is Lobo. Just standard issue Lobo with a bra on his head and a beer in his hand. And he's like, what the heck? And one of the aliens that reset the timeline says, perfect, Lobo, you are exactly what our plan requires. Okay. They reset the whole goddamn timeline. And they know they did. And it affects nothing else except for StormWatch. I understand Jim Starlin's coming in and he's like, hey, I got this idea buzzing around in my head. I don't want to deal with any of the back issues and all the other stuff. I just want to wipe the slate clean and go with it. So they invented an alternate timeline to keep it in continuity while still making it out of I am so baffled by the existence of this issue. I can't even begin. They just threw away everything. And like, not even in a way that's like respectful, where it's like, okay, well, you know, that stuff happened, but we're still doing this new stuff. It's like, no, it never existed. All the things you read about are gone. This is the reboot within the reboot. That's insanity. I am losing it. Oh my God. Okay. As for what it is on its own, ignoring the reboot aspect, the reset as they call it, do I like it? They did a whole thing where, all right, they spent just as much time introducing Midnighter and Apollo in this new universe, and Engineer as well, as they did Hellstrike and Weird and Jenny Soul, when those last ones were the ones that really needed it. I think that despite the fact Jim Starlin had an idea of, you know, I don't want to start with anything else, I want to make this pretty much a new jumping on point, which it is, I think that for anybody who has been reading the book, it makes far more sense to just work with what we had. You know, we didn't need completely new things for Apollo and Midnighter. Just say they're the same characters, and then over the course of the book, show us how they're different. Instead, he's treating them like brand new. And I think that just makes it weaker, because now I'm having to split time amongst 6 people who are all technically new, rather than the 3 who are new and 3 old ones that could have linked the gap. So, and not even mentioning Shadow Control and the Forecaster. Those things just barely even like covered it all. I don't know. It's a lot. It is a lot to get into. We're going to be dealing with this for the next like 10 issues. So we'll see where we get. But overall, I got to give this one like, I'm giving it a 6.5. The 0.5 is simply because I think that it has the potential to do something great, but I think this was a poor first outing in that all it was in the way they intercut with the Engineer stuff, it was a confusing read the whole way through, because they're introducing the teammates and then just cutting back to Engineer's story rather than, you know, showing these teammates doing something. So 6.5, that's the highest I can go.